Peter Bedford.
Thank you, Sir John. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. I'd also like to put on record my thanks to my honourable friend, the member for Windsor, for securing this important debate. Illegal migration, the often overlooked issue in the country, was most frequently raised on the doorsteps of Mid Leicestershire during the recent general election. And I'm sorry to say, but the last Conservative government failed to make significant progress in this area. Yep. However, as the Leader of the Opposition said in a speech last week, this dreadful Labour government are doubling down on the mistakes of the past. At the general election, the Labour Party promised to smash the gangs and that they would reduce the number of hotels being used for asylum accommodation. So let me ask the Minister, how is that going? The vile gangs profiteering from the exploitation of vulnerable people remain firmly in operation. The camps in Calais are still run by criminal networks, and the hundreds of illegal migrants crossing the English Channel are crossing the English Channel daily. All while the UK government seems to be sitting idly by and doing very little about it. Meanwhile, instead of reducing the use of hotels for asylum seekers, the government has actually increased the number. Communities are being forced to accept these hotels with little to no consultation, creating significant community tensions and leaving local authorities having to foot an enormous bill. Astonishingly, the government have compounded the already dire situation. So let's look at the numbers, which my honourable friend here raised a moment ago. Since the 5th of July, nearly 20,000 people have crossed the English Channel. That's a 23% increase on the period from 2023. For a government that pledged to smash the gangs, these figures are nothing short but abject failings. Indeed, the National Crime Agency have said that without a deterrent, these numbers are likely to rise. Under this Labour government, 220 hotels across the UK are now being used for asylum seeker accommodation. Now, without seeking to preempt the Minister's response, I suspect she will tell us that they are likely to reduce this number by the end of March. But how can my constituents have trust in the government? Migrant numbers are rising, and this government has no credible plan beyond the slogan, "Smash the gangs." The costs keep going up. The taxpayer is now footing a £3.1 billion bill to house 35,000 illegal migrants. A slap in the face to the millions of pensioners who recently lost their winter fuel payments. Within Mid Leicestershire, there are two of the three boroughs that straddle my constituency have over 245 illegal migrants being housed there illegally. These migrants are costing the hard-pressed taxpayers of my constituency £35,000 a day, or over £12 million a year. The impact on the local economy is equally damaging. Hotels that once supported our villages, that brought in tourism revenues, are now closed to the public. Local jobs have been lost, and worst of all, communities feel deceived and disempowered by the Home Office's lack of transparency. Sir John, be in no doubt, the Government Minister will no doubt attempt to shift the blame onto other people, other parties. But let's be clear. The situation has worsened under this Labour government. As my right honourable friend, the Shadow Secretary of State for Justice, has said, we need to have a serious conversation about the UK's continued membership of the ECHR. Leaving the ECHR would give us the tools to take back control of our borders and tackle and challenge the influence of left-wing activist lawyers who undermine efforts to enforce robust immigration measures. Deterrence works. Australia has proven this with their own deportation schemes, which dramatically reduced illegal migration. Laughably, even Germany is now using the framework established in the Rwanda scheme developed by the last government. Yet our government clearly lacks the political will to follow in the footsteps of these successes. More specifically, in relation to this debate, the government have now also decided to double down on the length of time that asylum seekers can stay in the hotels from 28 to 56 days. This single policy change adds £4,000 to the bill of accommodating each migrant, and this must be reversed, particularly if the government actually hope to close more hotels. So in conclusion, Sir John, my constituents in Mid Leicestershire should be under no illusion that this dreadful government is making things worse. They have no plan, they have no credibility, and they have no commitment to solving this spiralling crisis, and it's time for action.